Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 1980's Taboo. I'm blocking out, this is the reversible cover and one of the alternative posters, I believe, for this film. This is Taboo starring Kay Parker. And this is one of 4 titles, I believe, that had theatrical release. And they went beyond part 4, but not in the theaters. It says in the front, a story of family incest. This is released on Blu-ray and DVD. Blu-ray for the first time by the infamous Vinegar Syndrome. And we're going to be looking at this 1980 film right here, Taboo. Let's get into this film right here, folks. This is really a film unlike anything that you will definitely find today in our modern climate, especially in the pornographic realm. From what I've heard in the pornographic realm nowadays, you can't really talk about blood brothers and sisters and blood relatives having sex with each other, real incest. Nowadays, it's mostly regulated to stepbrother, stepsister, stepdad, stepmom, things like that. This is really just a wonderful representation of where we used to be cinematically. And the beautiful thing is that these films could never be made today, most likely, and it's a treasure to hold them, to have them, to be able to hold them, buy them, purchase them, and watch them freely in the same freedom that they were made before our more modern, conservative, correct climate for art, music, cinema, okay? X-rated cinema from the golden age definitely represents a time of cinematic freedom. I mean, gosh, these movies, for the most part, were considered illegal, and vice squads were breaking in, looking for these movie sets. You have to understand that when you're watching X-rated cinema from the 70s and the 80s, and a lot of the movies that I talk about on this page, like Jess Franco, you are watching renegade cinema. You are watching free cinema. Before rules were invented, the rules that are all throughout cinema today that make it quite standard and boring a lot of the time. Okay, so let's get into the first, Taboo 1, right here, folks. I have some notes written here, so you're going to see my eyes divert. Let's get into it. I'm going to look at music, I'm going to look at style and cinematography and story and vibe and feeling and themes and everything of the sort. So let's go. The title, as soon as we look at the title of this film, as the movie starts, we have an immediate darkly lit sex scene. And a 3D title card, a 3D in motion, moving right towards and past the viewer, almost in a Star Wars type of way, but this is much more beautiful. And it is Taboo. And you will see that 3D title happen again in some of the sequels ahead. Now we have this play of light, I call it, not physical light, but emotional light, a light vibe. This play of, we have marital sexual honesty and the problems thereof, and the familiarity and the revelation that familiar sex is frustrating and not hot. Familiarity breeds contempt. Well, maybe in the sexual world, as we see here in the beginning of Taboo, familiarity breeds stale sex. We have jazzy, light, disco, dramatic, soothing music. We have a father who leaves, a husband who leaves, and the economic implications for the wife. We have job searching. A woman looking for a job after her husband has left her. Brings interesting vibes right there within the story. A best friend, I believe, played by the infamous X-rated character from the Golden Age named Aunt Peg. I believe that was her kind of her nickname. And her female and male lover that our lead, Kay Parker's friend, lives with. So she has a best friend who lives with a man and a woman, both lovers. We have the sound of thunder at a restaurant at a boat bay. Big windows. You really get that shore vibe, that California vibe. You know those restaurants that serve the best seafood ever, and they're right next to the water. The boats are docked. And it's such an interesting atmosphere because you hear thunder as well. And we have Kay Parker's friend's advice here, stating to get a new guy for sex. After your husband leaves, get a new guy for sex. We have hilarious, offensive, beautifully offensive dialogue here, and explicit and wild. Quote, your pussy will shrink, end quote. Friendly advice. If you don't use it, it'll go away. Sexual freedom, no boundaries. These are the themes, the rules, the advice from her friend. And what a great representation that this character plays in Taboo. We have sex scenes in this movie without music, just slurping. Very, very interesting. Not all the sex scenes, but some of the sex scenes are just the natural sounds of sex. And it's deafening without music. We have a son and his girlfriend, and the girlfriend's friend getting a try at the boyfriend. We meet Dorothy LeMay here, who will be back in the sequel to Taboo. Quote, I'll let you lick it a little if you promise to give it back, end quote. This is a great, hot threesome type of scene here. As a matter of fact, in this Taboo and in all 4 Taboos, we are really dominated. The only time we have orgy sequences would be when we have more women on one guy. You'll never see 2 guys on a girl. Very, very interesting. You might see a cascade and an orgy sequence in this one, but you'll never, it's really multiple girls and one guy that you will see as a staying point within the wonderful sex scenes. This is a great sex scene here with the boyfriend and his girlfriend and the girlfriend's friend, and it's an excellent sex scene, especially if you like the schoolgirl type of vibe. You're gonna love it. There is definitely a work with camera focus in this film. The focus will go out for a while and then it comes back to the same scene and the same angle and backs up, and something has changed. Time has passed. It'll go out of focus and the characters were clothed and it comes back in. You see their faces just like you did before, but then it backs up and they have no clothes on at all. Very, very interesting. Kay Parker, the lead character in this film, she is lost in a world of people who want young, who want youth. And there is tension here versus the world of her young son. So we have the world of the older, abandoned mother and wife versus the world of her young son. There is mother and son lust in this film, and attraction. There is the allure of rape in the film, and the hotness of rape. There is a comedic scene involving this allure and this hotness with Kay's friend on the phone, and the element of rape fantasy, sexuality, all here. In this very, very wild and funny and crazy scene with Kay's friend. Kay's friend really provides so much comedy and so much outrageous comedy, and also a lot of thematic material in Taboo. The friend gets horny from stories and words. And I would say the friend gets horny from life. We have exotic music, exotic, almost Asian music with a scene with an Asian girl having sex. We have two girls, one guy scenes, as I mentioned, all throughout this film. And it's so interesting because you know what you're getting into when you watch Taboo. And so the film has a way of blue balling the incest as you are waiting for it to happen for the first time. The film has a way of you're seeing quote unquote regular sex scenes throughout the film, but you're blue balling on the incest. When's that going to happen? For a film that is, you know, this is a movie, an incest porno. It is a film that takes its time in developing that. The sex scenes in Taboo are very hot. Lots of oral, lots of ejaculation. There's just excellent, excellent sex scenes. We have voyeurism in this film, voyeurism to a mother from a son. Sex being awesome with a girlfriend because of arousal of looking at your mother. The role of fantasy. The role of fantasy. And even this movie right here, Taboo, the role of this movie in your own sex life. In my own sex life. It kind of turns itself in that right there as we see the role of fantasy in the sex life of the son and his girlfriend when he's thinking about his mother, and the role of sex films in general. I turn that also I turn that around also to us as the viewers. So there's the theme of fantasy. We have island music in here, this unbelievable piece of music, like a beach party with vocals. It's so catchy. It almost reminds me of this modern band from Spain called Heinz, and also a bit of Mac DeMarco vibes, reggae and old vibes. It is just an unbelievable island tune in a sex scene of this film. The editing in Taboo cuts between scenes happening simultaneously. You will have that very professional and elegantly done. We have a swinger party with funk and disco. Really great focuses on orgy sequences in Taboo at this swinger party. An interesting vibes of the meeting up of conservatism and liberation of the mother. The boundaries and being held back, and then the freedom of the mother, of Kay Parker's character. That'll be looked at again primarily in Taboo 3. A lot. We have country classic rock music in this film. We have, as I mentioned, just an unreal orgy sequence in here. Different compartments, different rooms in this wonderful, almost 70s hippie house looking vibe here with different psychedelic colors as paint. We have marital strife to sexual indifference to lust to incest. Okay, things leading to each other. Okay, very interesting, and this is a theme that will be looked at again primarily in Taboo 4. So marital strife to sexual indifference to lust to incest. Now we have a key scene in Taboo when Kay's character has run out of her meds, her pills, whatever they are. And it begs the questions, is sexuality a sickness that needs a cure? Sexual boundaries. What boundaries are needed? Are they needed at all within sexuality? Will sexuality be expressed in any form if there is a fire, if there's a sexual fire? Or was there an actual attraction to her son? Okay? Was it just a result of uncontrollable other factors and pain and hurt, and the way people look at homosexuality? Certain groups of people look at homosexuality, that people become homosexuals because of various life experiences. Did this happen to Kay in this particular example? And if you think that I'm getting too deep on this, this is an element that also will get directly psychological in Taboo 4. Will be revisited for the reasons for incest. We have the idea of sex with a spouse versus sex with a son or others. Okay, these different areas. Mental fantasies are seen on the screen for us in this film in an altered reality of inner desires. In an altered reality of inner desires. A mother-son sex scene erupts slowly and into total taboo abandonment. We have a windy day, romantic montage in the city. I believe it might be San Francisco. The complexities of mother romance with a man her age versus the sexuality with her son, with her offspring, with her blood. Is there a relation between the two sexual experiences and relationships? Did they need each other? Is there a connection at all? We almost have like a Carpenter's, like a 70s song with lyrics about reaping what you sow. Real sweet 70s vibes to it. People on street are looking at the camera in just a wondrous X-rated fashion that you see a lot, meaning that there really is some renegade guerrilla filming happening here. Is wrong right, sexually speaking? Okay, something that her friend will definitely be the pillar of in bringing up in this film. We have sultry, smoky jazz music in this film. And Kay's friend, really, you know, sex is life. And life inspires sex. I mean, really, her character, you know, sex is life and life inspires sex. Well, life comes from sex, if you think about it. We have friendly counsel in this film when your counselor masturbates with your confessions. The dialogue is so dirty and hot, it's outrageous and unbelievable, comical, and makes you horny at the same time. Friendly advice, go with all feelings, no boundaries sexually. We have jealousy in this film that's almost soap opera-like in its intensity. We have romantic jazz with lyrics. And we have an empowerment in Taboo to have your own life. We have an abrupt ending in the film, like in a serial, like in a film that you know will have sequels. And this unbelievable stylistic choice for the closing credits of kind of a split screen. It's really something that I've never seen anything like before. Very, very well done. This is 1980s Taboo, right here, starring Kay Parker, and we will see revisits with Kay in the sequels and other characters from this film. I absolutely love Dorothy LeMay, and this is the beginning for her in the Taboo series, and she will be back in Taboo too. Absolutely love her. And she has amazing sex scenes in this film. And the sex scenes are just unbelievable in Taboo. I will tell you that if the incest thing is something that is kind of pushing you away, and, you know, this is not the type of film. Well, first off, it definitely is the type of film for anybody who kind of gets off on incest storylines. Definitely, you're going to absolutely love it. But you don't have to have that as a fetish to enjoy Taboo. If you heard anything that I said throughout the course of this video, you will note that this is truly a movie. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like the original Taboo from 1980. Please feel free to check out all my other videos on this YouTube page, as well as all the sequels for Taboo 1, 2, 3, and 4. And thank you so much. Please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopy, Poopy, diarrhea. Thank you so much, and good night.